Hey all, welcome to another ClickFox PPC video here. In today's video, we're going to talk about Amazon PPC for bundles, what's the difference between this and private label and arbitrage and all that sort of stuff, and how you can really make some serious gains with Amazon PPC for bundles. Now, if you don't know who I am, I'm Hayden. I've sold around about $3 million, I would say, 2.7 over, something like that. A lot of that was predominantly bundles. We have great ACOS, great margin on our bundles, and I recently sold that business as well. So got some really good experience with that. I also own a PPC agency called ClickFox, and obviously that's what this channel is about. So, you know, we affordably manage people's spend, primarily that are doing bundles, but also private label on Amazon. So we've got a really good scope there into how this all works and what you should be focusing on. So let's dive into it without further ado. So first of all, people make the wrong turn when it comes to bundles because they think that it's the same as private label. It's really not. Doing PPC for bundles should be a lot easier. One of the main reasons you should be getting into unique bundles as opposed to private label is to make that cost saving on PPC. Okay, so I'll say that again. One of the main reasons you should be doing bundles instead of PPC is to make that cost saving on PPC. Not just PPC, but also there's a lot more logistics that you save money on in terms of importing products from China with a minimum order quantity of a few £1,000s, for example, where obviously, as we know, or maybe you don't know, when you're launching unique bundles, you can launch them for a couple of £100 and test. So the risk is a lot less and your initial investment is a lot less. The same goes absolutely for PPC. When you're doing PPC, you can get away with spending a lot less on PPC. What you should be doing before you launch any bundles with PPC is checking on whether you use Helium 10 or Jungle Stout, whatever you use, checking the cost per click. You can also do this by logging into your Amazon PPC console and then getting the suggestions of keywords that you want to do, and then it will tell you the suggested bid there. So that will give you a really good idea before you actually launch bundles. When it comes to the launch phase, you should be able to launch bundles if you're in a non-competitive niche pretty affordably. And let me tell you, because you're not competing with big brands doing certain private label products that are very competitive, because of the beauty of bundles, you should be able to launch, let's say, it's not unreasonable to think that you would only have to spend £5 to £10 to £15 per day in launch phase to get some really good rankings on your bundles. Whereas if you hover over to private label, a lot of products you're going to be spending 50 to 100, maybe even more, 200 per day on a launch. Now that may sound like unrealistic, but it's true. People do spend that. With bundles as well, because there's less competition, generally there is less search as well, which means that there's less competition, less search, which means that you're going to be spending less per item. Now, you can make the same profit margins and profit from bundles as you do with private label as well. I would say the only downside is that you're messing around with a lot of moving parts with bundles, as you know. So you've sort of got to have a good logistics set up with warehousing or prep centers if you want to be scaling that up. And also the brand's not going to have the same value on exit and stuff like that. So it's kind of pros and cons to each, but you can still make the same, if not really good money doing bundles as you can with private label. But as I say, the ad spend can be a lot less. Now, what I would suggest doing if you're in the launch phase, this is sort of a 101 with bundles PPC. What I would suggest doing if you're in the launch phase is getting 4 to 5 to 6 to 10 of your best keywords for them bundles. And if you have no idea how to do your PPC properly, but you want to have a good launch, put maximum of 4 to 5 keywords per campaign, per ad group. Get it all organized properly and start trying to target them with the suggested bid that Amazon gives you. I would also, if you've got broad phrase and you've got exact, I would also segment them into each one. So I'd have 5 of your keywords going to in their own ad group and campaign for phrase, 5 in exact, 5 in broad. Simply start with that. Put £5 or £10 per day budget and then just see how that goes. And then you can start getting rid of any keywords that are not performing. How do I know if keywords are not performing, you might ask me, Hayden? Well, I can tell you. Generally, if you're spending over £3.50 per in total in the last few days and you haven't got any sales, it may not be performing. I like to, in launch phase, have at least one sale per £2, £3 spend-ish. If I'm not getting that, I'm then checking the keyword and then checking the listing, making improvements where I need to make them. You then want to get to a stage where you're tweaking and testing after 2 or 3 days. You're looking at all your data. You're turning off keywords that aren't performing. You're tweaking campaigns that are working really well. Maybe increasing bids, lowering bids, keeping this simple at this stage. Obviously, we do a lot more advanced stuff with our PPC clients. But if you're not an expert in this, just keep it simple at this stage. And what you want to do is be adjusting these campaigns, these ad groups up and down, and also negating any keywords that are not performing well for you, and then maybe testing some new campaigns with new keywords, that may be also relevant for that bundle. And eventually what you'll do is you'll get to a stage where you've got maybe 2, 3, 4 campaigns in your launch phase, or maybe just one if you've tested it, and you'll really be able to highlight 3 or 4 amazing keywords that are working well for you, and then you've tested and tweaked that budget as well. And then you get to a stage where you just utilize that keyword, increase the overall ad spend on that one keyword, and start juicing all of them sales up. You then want to be tracking your organic rank for them keywords, making sure that you're moving up in the ranks. And then I wouldn't be touching that PPC if it's generating good sales at a good ACoS and a good total advertising cost to spend. I wouldn't be touching that for a good few weeks on the launch phase, and then just make sure organically you're moving up. Depending on, you may ask, how long shall I run them ads for aggressively? Now, obviously, it's not as aggressive as PPC. You probably, if you're not getting any results and you're spending £10 to £20 a day with bundles, I'd say go back and look at the listing. It's always down to the product if it's not selling. PPC just gets your products in front of customers. It doesn't. PPC gets your products in front of customers. It's that's all it does. Whether it's selling or not is down to the quality of the listing, the price, the reviews, and all that sort of stuff. If you're not working, if you're not getting sales when you're spending 10, 20 quid a day, there's probably an issue with your listing, guys. But yeah, how long should you run these for aggressively, fairly aggressively? Obviously, nothing like private label, but fairly aggressively before you start, chucking into a maintenance campaign or just doing £5 per day until you get a really good organic rank. I would say if you should be tracking your organic rank, and if your organic rank is at a good place and you're getting a load of organic sales as well, that's when I would say, okay, maybe you can start turning the spend down. But if you want to work your way up in multiple keywords, then you should be running that quite simply as long as you possibly can. Because that's how you're going to work your way up in the ranks on multiple keywords, is by getting consistent sales and outperforming the competitors. Now, you don't always have to outperform the competitors, but you need to be able to make sure that you're at a good standing on a load of keywords so that you've got essentially loads of little fishing rods in the pond on multiple keywords that could pick up sales at any one time organically. I hope that video has helped. My name's Hayden. I'm the co-founder of ClickFox Amazon PPC Agency. Fill the form out below if you want to get in touch and let us launch your product and manage them at an affordable rate. I'll see you soon.